Hi, I'm Alan Holman. I'm the curator at the Hampton History Museum. Welcome to our 20th Century Gallery, and we're talking a little bit about the NACA and NASA in Hampton. Have you seen the movie Hidden Figures? Or better yet, have you read the book Hidden Figures? Well, that story of those wonderful mathematicians coming to Hampton took place in Hampton. The story goes something like this. As NASA was growing, the burden of research was expanding, the staff was growing, the work done there to frame the experiment, to interpret the results, and to write the reports all fell on the engineers' shoulders, which was pretty burdensome. So the forward-thinking folks at Langley thought that, well, let's divide that task up a little bit and bring in an entirely new pool of talent. And what they determined was there were a number of women who were wonderful mathematicians who were teaching or still in school, pursuing their degrees in mathematics, who would do the kind of grinding work of interpreting the numbers, doing the mathematics, and then returning the results to the engineers who could then develop a paper interpreting all their experiment. That work began in 1936 and proved to be wonderfully successful. The women here did their mathematical calculations with great accuracy, and it took the burden off the engineers, and leadership of both Langley, the NACA, and other institutions noticed that the efficiency had gone up so much. So as we were leading up into World War II, this pool of mathematicians grew. An engineer would come check out a mathematician with their calculating machine, bring them back to their office where they would be leading the experiment, and the women would do the work. As we approached World War II, a new incentive came to light. The staff was going to expand again exponentially. So there was a need for more mathematicians. An entirely new pool of talent was thought of. And that is African American women who have the same skill set, the same education that their white counterparts had. Well, for those women, they set up a separate, segregated computing pool called the West Area Computing Pool, which was in the entirely new built part of the campus. And those women proved to be just as adept as their white counterparts. Their success was unchallenged. This began in 1942 as World War II was really revving up. They continued to recruit. The three women that are featured in the movie Hidden Figures came to Hampton and did their work here. Dorothy Vaughan came first. She came and was quickly recognized as a good manager and became a shift manager for the West Area Computing. Later on, after World War II had ended, they continued to recruit these women to do the work. They recruited Mary Winston Jackson, who was a local Hamptonian. She didn't have to come here, she was already here. Mary was so adept at her skill set that her supervisor, an engineer, suggested that she go back and complete her education and become an engineer herself, which she managed to accomplish in spite of some difficulties. And she became NASA's first female African-American engineer, and spent an entire career employed in that field. And the last woman we discuss in this story is Katherine Johnson, who we're lucky to have had with us after the other women had passed away. Katherine was still with us, so she began to achieve the notoriety that they all deserved. Katherine is featured in the movie and the book, and if you'll remember a scene in the movie where the astronaut asks if the new computing machines were accurate. He was assured they were, and he said, well, get the girl to run the numbers, and if she says they're okay, I'm ready to climb in that rocket. That girl was Katherine Johnson, who unfortunately just passed away, but she leaves a great legacy.